If your agency is doing around 30 to 40K a month, you're probably noticing something really strange at this moment. Revenue has actually grown. You have more clients. You might even have a small team already that you have delegated some tasks to, but the business doesn't actually feel bigger. It just feels more actually busier. More messages, more Slack notifications, more client questions, more managing your actual team, more meetings, and you usually still in the middle of actually everything itself. So it's like the 911 emergency call all goes to you. So the question becomes, why does the agency feel heavier instead of actually stronger because your revenue has grown? So today I actually want to show you why agencies around 35K per month feel this way, what structurally is actually missing inside of the business, and what actually needs to change for the agency to feel like it's actually growing, not just actually getting busier. There are systems that need to be installed inside of your agency currently in order for you to get past 35K to 50K, and then you can stabilize at 50 to scale to actual 100. And in today's video, I'm going to show you absolutely everything. So with that being said, let's get to it. So stick to the end of this video, because by the end of this video, you will understand and learn, number one, why agencies between 25 and 50K feel operationally heavy. Number two, the structural difference between a busy agency and actually a scalable agency. We're actually going to look at the differences in the model itself and systems installed in each agency. Number three, why revenue growth alone doesn't make the business actually stronger, and what actually needs to happen in order for your business to actually be stronger, not just actually busier. Number four, the hidden systems missing inside of most 30 to 40K agencies. Number five, the financial and operational numbers founders must understand, which is really important. I used to struggle with this for many, many years as well, without actually paying attention to numbers, because I didn't thought it's sexy. I thought more sexier is to actually pay attention to revenue, not the actual numbers inside the business. And number six, how to move from founder-driven chaos to actually structured operations. With that being said, let's get to it. So the illusion of growth. At the beginning of an agency, growth was really exciting, because everything is kind of new to you. You're driving growth inside of the business. Most of the agencies at that stage are energy driven. What do I mean by that? The more effort you put in, the more hours you put in, the more you will get out, right? You close your first clients, then you reach your 10K months. It even gets more excited because now you're like I have built momentum. It's really excited. I'm at 10K a month. Then you hit suddenly 20K a month and you think, okay, this is over the moon because now I'm at 20K a month, right? And at 20K a month, you kind of realize that, okay, I can get to 30, 40, 50, 60, and probably to the 100. But there are some things at 20 that you probably don't realize, that the more you work, the harder you work, the more stressed you actually will get. And you're probably at 20K feeling that stress already. You're kind of feeling a little bit frustrated. You're feeling sometimes more stretched. Probably everything is on your shoulders. You're thinking about delegating something, getting that first employee inside of the business as well, right? And then at 30 to 40K, it looks like the business is really working. You're like, hey, hold on. Like I can really hit 50K. I can really go to the 100K because I went from 10K all the way to 30, 40, right? But this is where the illusion starts, right? Because revenue increased, but the structure didn't increase at the same speed. So what do I mean by that? I have seen a lot of businesses at that stage when, hey, we are hitting 50K, but your structure, your operational structure is exactly the same how you operated from 10K, right? You got from 10K to 20K with the same structure. You got to 30 to 40K with the same structure. And now you strongly believe that you will still hit the 50K, the 60K, and you're probably going to reach to 100K. And that strong belief is now, hey, let's increase more leads. Let's get more marketing going. Let's probably think about ads as well. And let's start scaling. But what you don't realize that moment is your structure, your foundation of the business hasn't changed. And that's about to actually break your business. So what happens is work increases, responsibility increases, stress increases because now you're being pulled in many different directions, but the business architecture stays always the same. Nothing has changed. Now you have more money, but you have more things to do. You're more stressed. Everything is like kind of 10x, right? Now you also don't have a lot of time as well because most of your time is now being spent inside of your business. And now probably most of you at 30K, probably having I would say maybe one or two people hired, or some of you be like, hey, I'm kind of working my way and scaling my way through contractors. This is the stage where you're the best employee inside of your own company. You're probably the highest paid employee inside of your own company. The next thing you need to be paying attention is the actual profit margins. What's happening with the profit margins? How much it actually costs you to fulfill one of the clients, right? That's why it feels like you are just carrying more actual weight. So what founders feel at 30 to 40K? Most founders at this stage experience the same things, right? It's mix of emotions, mixed bag, right? One, constant context switching, right? You're constantly switching. 1 hour you are selling, the next hour you're reviewing delivery, then responding to client messages, then solving a team issue. Your brain is switching roles constantly. And the most kind of upsetting factor about this is that you don't have time to spend on actually growing your company. You don't have time in sitting down, planning out, strategizing, looking at forecasting, and really kind of diving deeper into actual growth itself, where you are looking above what's happening inside of the business and you're looking against the horizon and saying, okay, this is where I'm actually steering the ship. At this stage, you're probably so much into the tasks, your energy is being eaten all day long, you're responding questions, communication, Slack is consistently ringing, like people are asking for you, there's so much going on, right? And then 1 hour you're like, hey, hold on, like I think we got this under control. And then the next day you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I didn't get it under control. So maybe there's a day or two when it feels like calm, quiet, maybe, hey, for me, it was even 4 days was really calm and quiet until everything just started popping up. It's like, hey, meetings needed to be coming in, clients were not being happy, clients were not answered, my team was confused, they didn't know what to do, there was issues with this and that, there's so much happening, okay? So that's one, right? You're constantly switching. You're like kind of 911 emergency call. It's like when there's an emergency, they call you. Number two, everything flows through you, right? Even if you have team members, most decisions still require your approval. Examples, client requests, pricing adjustments, campaign strategy, delivery decisions. That creates hidden bottleneck inside of your business because now you are the main constraint inside of your business. I'm going to tell you how that worked for me. At some stage in my business, we were doing like email campaigns, we were running a bit of ads. Every single ad campaign was coming through me to kind of do the final approval. If the email messaging changed, let's say we are changing a little bit of the body itself, we're changing a little bit of the template of how we're going to be messaging and attracting leads, that had to be approved through me. If the subject lines were coming in, like, hey, what do you think of this subject line? Do you think this is a good subject line? Let's say a team member didn't understood how to like communicate with some clients because that client was really hostile. He had to come through me and he was like, hey, do you mind actually jumping on a call with the client because he's a little bit hostile? I don't know how to deal. Maybe you can show me. So much things happening, right? Left, right, center. You're just constantly on spikes operating, right? And with that, it's like you are the main constraint because your business cannot think on its own. It cannot do its self-thinking. It cannot self-observe. It cannot self-improve because everywhere it goes, it needs you. And then there's the third one, right? Revenue pressure. At 35K revenue, costs often look like this. You get like 35K in revenue, contractors maybe 12K. Then if you do have a team, let's say, you maybe have 4 team members or 2 team members or 1, then you have also team salaries. And this, let's say for instance, team salaries would be 8K, tools and software 2K, marketing 3K, profit maybe 10K or actually less, okay? So most of your money goes into actual operations itself. And that's not a healthy profit margin because your profit margin should be above anywhere 50 to 60%, right? Now imagine losing 1.5K client. You lose 1.5 client and suddenly that profit even shrinks more, okay? Suddenly the margin just disappears. So even though revenue looks bigger, but the business really feels fragile. And this is why it's really sexy to look at revenue. For long periods of time, I looked at revenue, I'm like, hey, we just got 5 clients, 12K each, hitting 60, 70K. Like we really are scaling now. Like we are just hitting, this is amazing. And then we look at the actual profit margin, how much it actually cost us to fulfill the clients, to pay the salaries, to pay the contractors, to pay also, we had some team members on the team as well, to pay the commissions, so I get paid to cover my bills and everything. Like we were barely left something, okay? Like there was a little bit of profit to run ads and a little bit things, but not as like where the profit margin is about 50, 60%, okay? So
That's why you have to pay attention to numbers. You have to pay attention to the pipeline. You have to pay attention to the cost acquisition, cost per client, right? You have to pay attention to everything. Because if you don't, eventually you will end up acknowledging at some point that you are playing the losing game. So why the agency feels busy instead of being actually bigger? This happens because growth at this stage usually comes from adding clients, not improving the actual systems, okay? So the agency becomes client heavy, founder dependent, operationally reactive, right? And this is what happens with most agencies that have went from 5K, 10K, they're now going to 20K, 30K. Most of them need the founder to be heavily involved, okay? So each new client adds new communication, new delivery work, new expectations, but underlying engine stays always the same. Nothing changes, right? What you are doing, you're doing exactly the same, just with more clients. And because you're adding more clients, now you're being more stretched. And so because your fulfillment dependent on how many hours you have and how much you can actually stretch yourself, now you cannot stretch yourself for too many clients because the clients are increasing, but the hours in the day stay the same, okay? So with that being said, that's why you need to start transitioning from hours to actual systems. Systems help you to create leverages inside of the business, then help you to systemize the business and also stabilize the business and the delivery and increase your profit margins as well, okay? So the agency becomes busier but not actually stronger if you have really weak systems. So now let's talk about the systems that you actually do need, the 3 structural gaps at 35K, right? First, let's talk about the gaps, and then we're also going to talk about the systems. Almost every agency around 30 to 40K has 3 missing structures. Number 1, no true demand system. So most agencies reach 30K using referrals, word of mouth, occasional outreach, and kind of a little bit of marketing spread around different channels, okay? And listen, that maybe works to get you to 10, 20K. But if you're really serious at that stage and when you want to get to 50 and to 100K, that's not going to work anymore. But you need to also understand here is you need to have a system that is really predictable and controllable. Most of the times you get into the 20, 30K, you can repeat it exactly the same way how you got to the 30K this month, the next month. Why? Because your system currently is really unpredictable. So example, month 1, you get 2 referrals, they equal 20K. Month 2, no referrals, you equal 10K. The founder thinks that the market changed, but the real problem is simple. There was never a demand system in place. What you had, maybe a few referrals, maybe a few channels there that gave you 1 or 2 clients, and that's about it. But what you need, and I'm actually going to add here, there was never a controllable demand system. That's what you actually needed to have, okay? A controllable demand system is the same as a tap, right? You switch the tap on and the water is coming out. You switch it off and the water stops coming. So the same you need to have inside of your business. You need to have a demand system that can predictably give you a number of leads, a number of actual sales calls booked on your calendar. With that number, you can start to really forecasting in the future. You can look like, hey, what's our close rate? With this type of close rate, we should be expecting to close this much. This should start to also give you predictable pipeline. And with a predictable pipeline, you really can start squeezing the juices out. So what a demand system looks like. A demand system answers one question: how many sales conversations are needed to hit the revenue target? So let's say your revenue goal is 50K, your average deal is 5K, and clients required would be 10. If your close rate is 25%, you need 40 sales conversations. Now the demand becomes predictable. Instead of hoping clients appear, you build a pipeline actual engine, a measurable pipeline that becomes actually valuable to you. So number 2, the gap is delivery is still really custom. This is really killing a lot of agencies and service businesses because you're kind of adjusting to each client. Like I had a client I spoke there, I would say a month ago. A month ago, I spoke to one client. Listen, he was like kind of adjusting his delivery to every single client because he's, hey, this client is a little bit different from that client because this has different conditions from that client, you know, I need to be a little bit different here than I'm there. And every time, like it would take 6 hours to fulfill one client, like to a week, right? He would have to do 6 hours with one client, then he would be like 3 hours with the other client, and then one client he would be like 2 hours, and all the time scattered around. So Most agencies grow by delivering custom work. Every client is slightly different, right? That works with few clients, but at some point when you're trying to get to 100K, it's not going to work. It's not going to work to get to 60K. It's not going to work to get to 50K. But at 10 clients, 10 plus clients, it becomes really a chaos already, right? So I'll give you an example. Let's say client A needs 6 hours weekly. Client B needs 15 hours. Client C suddenly needs a revision. Without a structure, delivery becomes really unpredictable. And that forces the founder to consistently intervene, okay? So what structured delivery should look like and looks like? High-performing agencies build delivery frameworks, right? So now you should have the same client onboarding. On the client onboarding, you should have, I would say, like 1 or 2, 3 things how the client onboarding has to happen, right? Like, hey, it's a Loom video. We include XYZ. Strategy setup. How do we pick the right strategy? What do we analyze? What do we look for? What are the things that like make sense to come up with a strategy in this certain way, right? So have these also, have a criteria how you actually create a strategy. Implementation, how do you implement? Have a criteria, how do you implement? Optimization, what do we look for? What numbers are we looking for to actually optimize, right? Reporting, how do we report? Hey, is a call really necessary here, or can we actually send a Loom? Can we maybe send an email? Can we maybe even send a short Slack message saying, hey, there's the file, this is exactly what was done, boom, 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 all done, right? So you really need to sit down and ask yourself, client onboarding, strategy setup, implementation, optimization, and reporting. These all things help you then standardize your delivery, which also then is much easier for you to do because now it's really important. Your business becomes more efficient because now you can take on more clients without actually compromising the delivery, okay? Each stage has clear tasks, owner, and actual timeline. So let's say clear tasks, right? You know exactly what it should look like. A strategy setup, maybe it's done in 2 parts. You have one part is done by Johnny and the other part is done by Tom, right? So you have that. Then timelines and deadlines also should be included because that gives you a better quality, a sense of ownership, sense of urgency as well, okay? So this turns delivery into actual process, not just improvisation as well, okay? So then gap number 3, no operational visibility, which is the main thing what is actually destroying a lot of businesses. Most owners track only one number, okay? And that's revenue. And I used to do exactly the same. I used to also just track revenue. I thought that's the sexy number, right? If my friend said, hey, how's the business? Well, we're making 50, 70K a month. No. Oh, wow, that's really great, isn't it? But if we start to really look deeper, like deeper, we understand like, oh, whoa, you may be making 70K, but you're not that profitable, aren't you? And you're also kind of giving most of your life away to your business. But that number hides the real story as well, okay? Operators, right, currently at a stage where we are tracking pipeline value, close rate, delivery hours, client profitability, team utilization, right? Without those numbers, the founder reacts emotionally. We don't know how many clients we can take, at what certain point we're going to be actually stretched, how much actual value we have in the pipeline, what we can close, what we can squeeze, what's our actual close rate, how many hours actually take us to deliver the work as well, okay? Without those numbers, the founder reacts emotionally. With the numbers, the founder can predict problems early. And also, really important, you can start forecasting for future as well. So the operator dashboard, every week founder should know leads generated, sales conversations booked, deals closed, pipeline value, delivery capacity, and profit margin as well. These are all really important numbers for you because these numbers are going to reveal what's really happening currently inside of your business. This is what allows the business to move from reactive to actually controlled as well. So one of my clients, an agency owner, doing about 36K per month, the founder himself always overwhelmed. The clients were happy, revenue looked solid, but internally things felt really chaotic because he was really stressed out of his head. So when we looked a little bit deeper, we found there was no pipeline tracking, right? Delivery process were different every single time, and the founder reviewed almost every single deliverable, right? I asked him a question. I said, hey, listen, like, how did you track your pipeline? Like, what do you do? Like, what do you know what's working, what's not working? He was like, tracking pipeline. He wasn't even tracking the pipeline, right? He was like, hey, we just put in spreadsheets and that's about it. And then he had a couple spreadsheets to actually stick them all together to make up all the pipeline itself as well. And I said, hey, how do you know that like you're not missing a follow-up system? Maybe you're missing something. How do you know that you're not missing it? He's like, we don't know. And that's the problem with most agencies currently. They just simply don't know. So Delivery processes were different for every client as well, because some clients were delivered completely different to others, and the founder almost was always stepping in because he wanted to make sure that it's really high quality. Instead of pushing for more clients, we focused on three things, right? Demand tracking, delivery structure, and operational dashboard. And I tell you, like, this is what we do for most clients, by the way. Sometimes we have a client come in and they would just be stretched at these three things. And then what we would actually do, we just simply put them in demand tracking system, delivery structure, and operational dashboard. We don't even touch the demand. And just by that alone, few months, like in 2-3 months, they move up to 50K, and we probably are now moving like past 50 to 60, 70, 80. And listen, we didn't even touch demand. There was no VSale funnel implemented. Psychological, by the way. The founder finally felt like actual business was organized instead of chaotic. So it's like garage. Once you have too many things in your garage, you can't find anything. It's too messy, right? Once you organize, you want to find them, but you also have more space. And the same in the business. So once you organize your business, you have not only more space to take more clients, but now you have better understanding of like how everything works. K, 5K, 20K, hit hard, work hard. And that's great. You may be gonna get to 10K, 20K. But at 30K, you need to start kind of adjusting and transitioning from like kind of working hard to actually designing systems around your business. Working harder creates stress at that point. 50K, structures, systems are mandatory. The founder must stop acting like the best inside of your business. You have to delegate your tasks, you have to process them, you have to systemize them, you have to document them, because in that way you really stabilize your business and you get closer to actually getting to that 100K a month, okay? And that's really important. So what founders should focus on next? If your agency is around 30 to 40K per month, the goal is not just more revenue. The goal is build a demand system, a predictable, controllable demand system that consistently is giving you predictability on your calendar. So like, hey, we're gonna be speaking this month to 20 people, next month 20 people. And it gives you that predictability, because with predictability, you can start actually forecasting, okay? Number two, build the delivery framework. Have frameworks, have processes, have templates inside of your actual delivery. Don't have just different delivery model for every single different client that's coming on, okay? And then three, operational visibility. You need to see numbers. Like, it's like a bird's eye view. You see better. You can see, if you zoom in, you see exactly what is happening inside of your business. That also needs to happen inside of your business. So when those exist, the business stops feeling busy and starts feeling actually stable as well. Most founders think that the next stage of growth requires more effort. And sometimes most of you think, hey, more leads is going to solve the problem. It's not. And more clients also not going to solve the problem, because if you have really thin profit margins, you're really stretched across the delivery as well, your team's kind of always confused and burnt out, it's not going to help you. What you need to have is structure and organization inside of your business. But the real change happens when the business becomes structurally stronger. And that's what you need to be going for currently. And that's when growth really also will give you that calmness as well. And that's what allows agencies to hit beyond 50K and eventually towards 100K, 200K, 300K. Because what helps you to get there is the structure and organization inside of your business as well, okay? Now, if you really enjoyed this video, you got a lot of value, like, hey, Rob, this really opened my eyes to how my business has to be constructed, what structures I need to go. Smash the like button as well. Comment down below any additional help you need. Maybe you want some content that I made. More likely to create that content for you. Also, subscribe to my channel to make sure that you don't miss content like this. Failing more times than I know, selling businesses, winning businesses, growing businesses, and being in the game of actually. Don't miss the content like this. If you have any ideas that you want me to kind of uncover or discover with you,